We had found this location that a colleague of mine had gotten married in the year before, and it's an old kind of Gothic church on the Upper West Side, right across from Central Park, and you can rent the space out for a day.
It's called Landmark on the Park. It's right across from the park on 76th Street.
It's kind of a cool space because you can have your ceremony and the reception right there in the church itself. We came to see Jim.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had maybe an hour meeting with Jim, and we just kind of knew that these were the guys that were going to do the right thing for us. And we really wanted somebody that was going to be able to do everything from, lighting to floral to food.
Yeah.
And, they arranged a lot of things for us with the DJ and things like that. So they did really left, aside from us having meetings and discussing kind of what we were looking for, these guys, as I told Dan the day of the wedding, they really did knock it out of the park, and you just get that sense from these guys that they love what they do, and they do it well.
I think it wasn't that there was a hard sell and there wasn't a takeover. I mean, it was really asking you some questions, letting us know what they did, and, we could do everything from basic food for you to the whole 9 yards, which they just made us feel very comfortable, gave us enough information to work with, and let us go meander off and think about it. And there was no push, phone call. It was sort of like, this is your day, this is your time. We know what we've done, decide for yourselves. It was just a very easy, comfortable, sort of warm exchange, which was a nice fit for us. Well, I think one really big thing that they took to heart, one piece that I laid out early was, for us, as we said, we've been together for years. And so for us, it was a celebration more than anything. It was a ceremony, and it was a next step in connecting, but it was a big celebration. So, the way we run parties at our house is our friends come, there's good food, there's alcohol, any type you can imagine available, and people make themselves at home, which is really what we wanted for our day. And they just held fast to that and really got it. And the food was unbelievable.
Yeah, food was great.
The 3 bites that I had was unbelievable.
Yeah, she didn't eat enough. The food was pretty amazing. But, we had an autumn wedding in New York, and they really kind of made that a central theme to what we were doing. And it was, with the big, I don't remember what type of trees they used, but
beautiful.
It was just a really beautiful, it kind of looked like they brought
Central Park
into the church. It was really beautiful, and just candles everywhere, and it was a really nice. It was a really nice, nicely done, and we just could. People still like when we talk to people, and they're like, "Oh, your wedding was just so amazing," and
Absolutely.
It's a nice feeling, and Dan was there the day of, and made sure everything went smoothly.
He brought his A-team.
And once we had that kind of stuff kind of decided what we were going to do, then Dan will make you your little floor plan of your space and where everything's going to be, and so you can kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like before it happens. I
think the biggest thing, though, is the amount of listening that they do. So I think more in the first 2 meetings, it was a lot of question asking and listening, and not necessarily taking notes, but taking some notes down and trying to understand what we were thinking, what we weren't thinking, what we hadn't thought about conceptually. And really, you felt like what they were pulling together was unique to what you wanted. Or maybe you didn't even know you wanted it. Because at the time, like I said, we had no real vision except we have a beautiful church, it's autumn in New York, we can't go wrong, but we hadn't thought about any of the details. And once we started talking and got more comfortable in conversation, it wasn't until after, I think, the first or second meeting that some concrete suggestions were made, and it was a definite throw out, tell me how you really feel.
The staff was great. Totally unobtrusive but present, and always, at one point during the ceremony, there was a giant glass vase in the front window of this church that had like this amazing big branching out tree coming out of it.
Ungodly displays, gorgeous.
And one of the children, we're still not sure who it was because I think the parents swore Dan and Jim to say knocked it over and it just shattered everywhere. It's a huge mess. It was cleaned up within
3 minutes.
30 seconds.
Easily.
I don't know, but it was gone. And the staff did an amazing job.
Sure. I think what was
always there ready with a drink. And
and I think, making sure that we stopped and ate dinner. And, one thing that I liked is that there was no set schedule. You sort of have certain motions you've got to go through once you get the reception started with regards to, we didn't have cake cutting, we had mini pies. But getting to that point, it wasn't like, okay, at 8:30 we're doing this, and at 9 o'clock we're doing this. Dan really sort of felt out the vibe and where people were at, and was this the right time to do it? And
sure, he even told us when he should, like, you should probably stop the open bar at this point.
Right.
There's like 40 people still here.
I mean, he just paid attention to everything that was going on, and when we were sort of easing from having first come back in as man and wife and eating and greeting, there was that nice point where we sort of got eased off to a table and there was a plate of food and what can I get for you, and just laughter and exchange and do you need anything. They were really friendly. I mean, everybody.
Well, that's one of the things about our wedding is it was non-traditional in the sense where like we didn't have a dais for like the bridal party or anything like that. So it was just kind of once.
It's like a big cocktail party.
Yeah. Once the ceremony was over, the chairs went around the tables and people could sit where they meant, and people got to mingle.
For me, the biggest comfort was seeing the faces there, because the day of, for example, when I came into the church, I got to see Dan right away, and that was a really big comfort. And then, they made sure that everybody got situated, and as I was laughing earlier, when I turned the corner, just as I was coming down, I could see Jeff with a big smile on his face. So it was really like that there was family there supporting you. And when we came out of the church, Dan was one of the first faces that I saw. Just knowing that he was there with a genuine smile and a big hug, and you did a great job. And it wasn't just the, okay, good job, Miranda, now I need you to do this. Now, it wasn't about that. It was really like a family member sort of guiding you through and supporting you. And
it was much more relaxed.
Much more relaxed.
Of an experience than I thought it would be. We were very, very stressed out about the whole, getting married and the families intermingling and all that stuff. And it was just a beautiful, unstressful event. And I think a lot of that has to do with the work that the guys did.
There was a genuine care about how we felt and how everyone in the room felt. It wasn't just attention to detail, ensure the party came off without a hitch. That was there. I mean, there was not one piece that was missing from that element. But I mean, I wanted to introduce family members to Dan and say, this is the person that's really made it come together for us. And he shook hands and was friendly and spent time with our friends and family, and that was just, it was a very personal touch,
at that
which
point,
means a lot for
we
us.
spent so much time with Dan, he kind of felt like family too. I mean, it was kind of like, it would have been weird if you weren't there.
Right.